Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another edition of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I'm almost welling up thinking about these people and what they've done, what they did for me for the tournament on Saturday. We'll talk about that in a minute. Coach Spurrier is back today. And that'll be great to have him on, see what he's got to say about a lot of things, including his son winning an XFL championship. Friday's guest to be determined, but only because I've had a lot on my mind, and I didn't get ahead. We'll have somebody really good, you know that. That'll be on Friday, and appreciate what a weekend I had. I mean, to go from Thursday night, we were in here at Coach Spurrier's restaurant, and this was something somebody had won at last year's golf tournament, was dinner for 12, and they were one short, so they invited Karen, but there was dinner for 12 with me and Coach Spurrier, and Jerry was there. What a great time they had, and I had, just telling stories and everything. We had a blast. That was the way Thursday started. Then Friday's the big party we have at the golf tournament. And then it was unbelievable. My favorite moment, I think, from that tournament is always sitting there when we get everything set up and just looking at everything that we accumulated. Anyway, and then the tournament Saturday, which was a success. I'll talk about it in a minute. And then Sunday, Karen decides for Mother's Day, rather than go to here, we were going to come here. We had reservations and go to a movie, which we had done the year before. She goes, you know what I really want to do? I want to go see the Gators play baseball. And I'm like, man, did I outkick my coverage. I got a wife who wants to go to the game I want to watch rather than do something very nice, which we had just done the other night. But anyway, it was a great weekend. All right, let us get to the Meldon Law starting lineup. And we, again, I'm going to get on this starting lineup thing. I want to get a good sponsor for it, but I've just had a lot of things going on. So we'll get to it. But until then, we'll just continue to honor our great sponsors, including Meldon Law. Jeffrey and I had so much fun out there. Let's talk about it. Number one on the Meldon Law starting lineup. The bout is over. It's finished. I know there was a point, I think on Thursday, where I went, I wish I could go into time and have this thing over because there was a lot of stress. I stress out too much. The stress level was incredible for me. There were people, I wasn't sure if these people were on a hole. There's no way to explain the stress level and how hard it is, but it was so successful. It was tremendous. Everybody had a good time. And I'll tell you the number one thing, and I texted a couple of people about this today. The number one thing about this tournament this year that I'd never felt so much love in a confined space in my life. There was so much love. Now, I'm not trying to go, 60s hippie on you, okay? But there were just, how many people hugged and said, I love you during the whole day? It was just incredible. And that's the thing. We honored 2 young people that are battled cancer. We honored the people that were there that did so much for us. But it was also like the biggest carnival you've ever seen. There was stuff. I mean, Jared was there, so he knows. He took these pictures, so he was there, and it was like this. For a great cause. For a great cause, to help stop children's cancer. I know that the early revenue that came in, or what we have right now. 43,000, so that's great. All the silent auction stuff. And look, I don't think I'm looking down here to make sure I'm not going to talk about it again. You're done with me. You don't have to listen to it anymore. But so many of you are a big part of this tournament. Whether it's Titan MRI, whether it's Leonardo's, whether it's Eastlake Pediatrics. All Ballyhoo, certainly. I know that Ken Hesser and Jennifer Kipke played in the tournament. They had a blast. They also did what I did. which is go to the baseball game the next day. But they had a blast, and they want to get more involved. I had another person come up to me and go, we want to be involved in this tournament. And I'm like, you don't know that there's going to be another tournament. Nobody knows that. I haven't made a decision yet, okay? But I will say this. For the first time, I think since I've been doing this, 28th year, to honor my dad, I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to keep going forever. And usually I wanted to get over and get it done and get the prizes out and be done with it because I've been stressing so much, but I didn't want this one to end. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. All right, let's go to some baseball. How about that? The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. We're coming back here just a little outside. All right, baseball, what a series for them. Got to 40 wins. Took over the lead in the SEC East, which is, I mean, I leaned over to my wife. I said, you know, this is for the SEC East lead. She goes, oh, that makes it even better. Yeah, she was so into it. She loved being at that game, and it was great. Florida wins 6-2 after winning 6-2 and before winning 10-0. So just dominated. I know that Vanderbilt did have their starting pitcher out for Friday, but Florida was missing Rivera, their best player. I mean, for all the accolades of Langford and Caglione, but they're so deserved. But Rivera is the guy that, to me, is the MVP of this team right now. Now, you can make an argument, but I think he is. They were without him. He was in concussion protocol. The second game of the series, they lose their starting pitcher after one inning because of hour-something rain delay, which I barely could stay awake for. I was pretty tired. And it just really went about as good as you could expect. But the other thing was, and Caglione pitched so well on Sunday, and all I could think was, man, if he's figured something out here, this team is going to be hard to beat with the bats they have, the way they play deep. They made some unbelievable plays in that game. Unbelievable plays in that game. So great for the Gators. And, of course, now you got Kentucky, and it's going to get really interesting because you got a chance to win the SEC, and which matters around here as far as I'm concerned. Depends on what other teams do, but it's really interesting. I'll get to that in a little bit when I get to the Ben Odell Realty games of the weekend, or the week. Number 3 on the Meldon Law starting lineup, there's been talk about and I don't understand this totally, but I don't. It's not my deal. Jacksonville is going to redo its stadium. They're apparently going to put a roof on it. They're going to build like a SoFi or whatever, one of these stadiums that you've seen out on the West Coast and in Vegas. They're going to build one here in Jacksonville, not here in Jacksonville, but in Jacksonville. Okay, great. Sounds good. Well, to do that, they're going to shut it down for 2 years, which means Florida Georgia is going to have to find a home, and the Jaguars are going to have to find a home, and a lot of talk about it maybe being in Gainesville, although I don't think that is going to happen. Okay, I don't think they can. I don't think this community and the support staff here, and I'm just talking about numbers of people, can handle if you go to, like, say you play 7, just let's say you play 7 games here, plus you have 6 college games. Seems like a lot. I don't know if the turf can handle it. Anyway, I don't think that can happen. What I think could happen is Jacksonville could decide we're going to play all around the state of Florida and play a couple of games here. I could see that happening, and that would be cool to see an NFL game here at the Swamp. We've seen a bowl game here. Well, actually, we've seen 2 bowl games here, but not a NFL game. But the other question will be now, to me, the bigger question is, okay, if Jacksonville's going to do this, what is Florida Georgia going to do? I mean, the contract's about to come up again, and we assume it's going to be executed as it always is. But what are they going to do, Florida and Georgia, about whether they're going to shop it around? I think it was in The Athletic I read that. They may shop it around. They may go, hey, Atlanta, interested in Florida Georgia for 2 years? Here's the price. It's a bigger price than we can get for playing at home and home. That's what they may do. And then it gets really interesting because say it's Atlanta. I don't think anybody else in the state of Florida would make this part of it change. But just say it's Atlanta, and Atlanta says, we kind of like the feel of this. Who knows what's going to happen from that point? If they really want to get Florida, Georgia, I'm sure they do, and maybe they're willing to. It could go Jacksonville, Atlanta. There's been talks of that whole thing's back open because of this. And again, it's not supposed to happen. I think 26 is when they're going to start redoing that field. We'll see what happens there. Number 4 on the Meldon Law starting lineup, softball. Really kind of surprising to see. Not that they didn't host. Look, they didn't have a good enough year to host. It's fine. They've gotten some breaks on hosting, and to be honest with you, with the NCAA. This is not a good team. They've not played well. They certainly haven't pitched well. They've lost a lot of games. First losing season for Tim Walton. First time not hosting in the first round. It's just a historically bad team. I hate to use that term again, but it is a historically bad team. Doesn't mean they can't snap out of it and do some good things. I don't think their regional's that bad. And they get to go hang out in Palo Alto, which is the coolest college town in the world. So they've got that going for them. But it almost looked like the NCAA committee forgot to put Florida in. They went, where can we stick Florida? How about out here? They were doing everything so regionally, and then all of a sudden they went, let's not do it regionally. But it doesn't matter. They're not going anywhere. Look, the bottom line is it's going to be Oklahoma and UCLA in the final. We all know that. It's the most anticlimactic. UCLA's lost one game. One. UCLA's lost 2 games, okay? They're playing for the final. So just get ready for it. By the way, that game is at 6 p.m. on the Plus, I think. Yeah, 6 p.m. on the Plus. All right, and finally, I hated to see the way lacrosse lost yesterday. It was a weird dynamic because we're going to the game. We heard roars. We're going to the baseball game. We heard the roars. There was all this stuff set up outside for a tailgate party, but nobody was at the tailgate. And we're like, what is – finally Karen figured it out. It's for lacrosse. They're going to come in here after the game and have a good time, and they were leaving pretty quickly because it was a tough way to end though. Against Notre Dame in the Sweet 16, you're down 4 and you come back and tie the game, then you lose it with 10 seconds to go. Feel bad for them, but it's a tough out. I mean, I don't know, like who had a tougher out, the Sixers or Florida lacrosse. You can make an argument either way. So that's unfortunate for them, but great season again for Mandy. The hump is hard to get over, man. She can't quite get over that hump, but she's done a tremendous job as a head coach at the University of Florida. All right, let's take a break, and let's when we come back, be joined by the HBC. Steve Spurrier will join us, and we'll talk to him about XFL and Florida's expectations and all that and more. You are watching or listening to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Andreu to go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org. Or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
There are a few tickets left for Gainesville's best pig roast and special whiskey debut. Sunday, May 21st from 2 to 5 p.m., Spurrier's Gridiron Grill is roasting a whole pig and sipping Piggyback Rye whiskey. Join us at Vicer's Rooftop for the release of Spurrier's Piggyback Rye's private labeled barrel select whiskey. We'll have specialty drinks, games, raffles, plus each ticket includes your own bottle of Spurrier's Piggyback Rye whiskey to take home. Go to Spurriers.com to get your ticket to join 125 of your friends at the Rooftop Pig Roast before we sell out.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law also presents Coach Spurrier. We've missed him for a couple of weeks, but he's back. He was making the golf tour, pretty much.
Well, they have, the College Hall of Fame has a little golf event last Monday.
Right.
At Peachtree. Peachtree is one of the famous golf courses in Atlanta. Bobby Jones played it, and it's beautiful. I didn't realize how tough it was to this one. Our team didn't do as well as the one a couple of years ago. But it was fun to play. I think I might have got closest to the pin on a little par 3, but other than that, I didn't play very well. So, but we got that Pebble Beach Coaches Classic that comes up in about 3 weeks. So I take my two sons, Scotty and Steve Jr., and Tommy Shannon's going out with us.
Oh, yeah. Tommy, yeah.
My old teammate, left-handed quarterback here with the Gators.
Did he start Tommy Bahama or?
He was with Outback.
Outback.
He had a bunch of.
It was a Gator that did both of those.
He ran about 23, 25 restaurants out in California. So he sort of commuted between Tampa and California out there for a while. San Diego, I think they had a home base. And he's sort of retired now, but he's a big contributor to Gator athletics.
Sure.
He's got his name on the side of the stadium up there, so he's done well, and he gives back, which is what you're supposed to do.
He does, absolutely, and we appreciate everything you did for the golf tournament. There was a lot of things signed by you that you probably didn't even know you were contributing to the golf tournament, like something from Meldon, something from here, but anyway, it was great. To have that tournament, and a lot of people were talking about what we're watching in the XFL on. So it was Saturday, so I didn't even have any idea what had happened in the game, and because the tournament was that day, and I knew you were out there, and then finally I said, "Hey, I got to find out what happened in that game."
Well, it was an 8:00 game Eastern, 7 out there, and but here's what's interesting, Pat, about the whole thing. They all play 10 games. There's 8 teams. They all play 10 games. Well, the Renegades were 4-6 after 10 games, and the Washington D.C. Defenders were 10-1. I'm sorry, they were 9-1, and then they won their first playoff game. So they were 10-1 coming into the game, and the Renegades, San Antonio guy missed a field goal just like that much. If he makes it, San Antonio would have been in the playoffs.
Done,
So the Renegades sort of backed in, and they changed. So here's a lesson of life. Just because you hadn't played worth of crap the whole year, they played 10 games and scored 12 touchdowns all year. Wow. And now all of a sudden, the coaches got better too. Players played better, but the coaches had better game plans. And their quarterback, Luis Perez, he was the MVP of the game Saturday night. And they threw the ball down the field. They did this, that, and the other, and they ran the ball very well too. And their defense played a lot better. So they won 2 games actually by a couple of touchdowns, and they're the champions. They got a 6-6 record, but they're the champions of the XFL. And that's the nature of playoff sports now. You get into playoffs and you put it all together, and you got a chance to win it all. The NBA playoffs right now, the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat, they won the play-in game. They didn't even qualify, but they had this little, well, you guys play 2 out of 3 or something, and we'll let you get in the tournament. So that's how both those teams got in, and either one could win it all.
You think about Ole Miss baseball last year.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't in the SEC tournament, I don't think. But anyway, they didn't have a good record at all. They win it all. And now this year, they're not in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's just...
They barely qualified for the tournament.
Yeah, that's what it was,
They were like 500.
But I think they went 1 and out, but they somehow got in and then did such great stuff. So it is interesting. But yeah, so ring for Scotty. Is that going to be a big?
Well, hopefully they may have to make their own rings. But anyway, that's all right. He was really happy. My son Scotty said, "This is my first championship as a coach." Bobby Stoops. He's got 1 national, and he's got 10 conference championships out there at Oklahoma.
He's got a lot of them.
So another one for him. But all the players. I saw a few of them after the game. Of course, they had the trophy presentation. And if you're on one of those teams, I mean, it's just as big almost as any championship.
Right.
Championships are something you talk about forever. And so these guys are the champs of the 2023 XFL. And it looks like they're going to play again next year.
Yeah.
The Rock Johnson and his ex-wife, Danny, they're the owners. So they're looking forward to next year. So it's creates jobs for coaches as well as players that are just not quite in the NFL. Some people say they just didn't quite make it. I said, that's not the way to say it. They just barely got cut, or the coaches decided to keep the other guy instead of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the kicker for the Renegades, I forget his name right now, Taylor something or other. I talked to him after the game. He made a 50-yarder and about a 45-yarder. He's as good a kicker as I think anybody in the NFL. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, they kept the other guy instead of him. I got to believe somebody's going to pick him back.
Yeah. And again, kickers, they'll change them out. They don't need to learn a playbook at all. There's nothing they have to know about a playbook. But you know what else this league creates and the USFL creates is content for the networks, which is the most important thing. That's why they're there, and that's why they're making the money that they're able to make. A lot of talk this week about over-unders. The gambling lines are being set for college football season, and it's something we have to talk about because it's there. It's there in almost every state where it's legal. We've got all these controversies. But I saw that Florida's over-under was 5.5 on DraftKings. That was the second lowest. I never thought I'd see this in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Yeah, our schedule is not an easy schedule this year.
No, it isn't.
Opening at Utah and so forth. And I saw something in USA Today newspaper. It picked all the conference champs.
Yeah.
And so that was it. Picked Georgia to win the SEC. And most of the others are who you'd think they would be, Clemson, Michigan. But they picked Texas in the Big 12. I think they've won one in the last 20-something years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they pick them unless they go do it. But other than that, it wasn't anything, a lot different than what we would think. It's about conference champs. But,
I mean, you coined the phrase talking season. You should have patented it.
Patented
You'd have made a lot
season.
of money off of it. But the bottom line is we're going to get a lot of loving for teams like FSU, Texas, LSU. It makes sense that they're going to be good, but they still got to go do it. You know how that is.
Exactly. And there's a reason. We were talking the other day. We started the championship game in '92, and so what's that? 30 years, I think we've been doing it. And I think only 6 teams have won it. On the west side, Alabama, Auburn, LSU.
Right.
Now Arkansas got in. Mississippi State got won a division like we did in South Carolina. We got a division one time, but didn't win it. And then on the eastern side, Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. And other than that, heck, Kentucky's never even been to the game. And
That's amazing to
so
think about.
Yeah.
He's done such a good job there, but never even come close to the game, really.
No, you got to win the division and get to the game. So, in Tennessee, I mean, they had a great year, but they didn't even win the division this past year. So sometimes you get judged on what's happened in the last 4, 5, 10 years compared to what you do that year. So, Shane Beamer, they beat Tennessee and Clemson this year.
I know.
The year before they lost to them.
Yeah.
But since he did it this year, got a gigantic raise, which is, par for what everybody else is paying. So timing is and fan bases are really happy. You don't have to win the SEC to be happy. You think our Gator fans will learn that someday? Be happy we went 8-4. I don't know. But if we win 8-4, it would be a good year this year.
It would, and I think that's the thing. Billy Napier's said this in the past about, and I saw a story on The Athletic about we're going to be patient. We hope the fans will be patient with us, but we're going to be patient. We're not going to just rush into all these things. And so far, I mean, you can see that they're like, this is really the first year. Last year he was just trying to get to know everything. But I mean, that makes it hard for you when you're starting with year 1 and year 2.
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, we had some good games last year. The Gators looked very good in the opener to beat Utah. We clobbered South Carolina here, and had some other pretty good games at Texas A&M.
That was a great game, yeah.
Oh yeah, Anthony Richardson was fantastic. But to go lose to Vanderbilt, that
stays with you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, what would they tell Kirby Smart if he lost to Vanderbilt? Now, let's ask questions like that. Are we just a middle of the pack bunch and we accept losing to Vanderbilt? So we got some, we got some guys who need to get mad every now and then. I'm talking about coaches and players. Yeah, come on, let's go. But if that's the best we can do, then we just have to say, hey, we're average mediocre right now, and hope someday we won't be. We've got to do one or the other, get mad and get better, or just accept the fact that mediocrity has crept into our program.
Yeah, and I don't think it has.
I don't either.
I think that they basically they're just trying to say, hey, we're going to get this done. Now, then you've got to wait 5 years, say, to make that happen, and people don't like to do that, as you know. I mean, everybody says part of the reason you left is people were complaining about a 10-2 team. What percentage would you say? Like 4%?
Yeah. I just mentally thought if you had a chance to coach in the NFL, you do that the last 4 or 5 years of your coaching career.
Right.
And back then, gosh, hardly anybody coached past age 60. So I was 57 or so when I left. And but that's a record I like that I don't think anybody will get, Pat, is I'm the winningest coach in school history, and I won the first game at age 60 at South Carolina.
Oh.
So nowadays, Saban is 70 or 71, something like that. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
In fact, coaches coaches could go easily to 77, 78. Bowden went into his 80s. Bobby Bowden did. But anyway, that was just sort of my mental thinking back in those days. And the money was triple if you go, or double if you go to the NFL.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do in life, and somebody offers you double whatever you're making, you got to almost go do it.
Yeah, you've said that before. You didn't make a mistake going to the NFL. You made a mistake going to the wrong team.
Yeah.
So are you taking any pleasure in the selling of the Redskins? Or, the Commanders, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't hold grudges. I was the one that went up there, and I didn't have it in writing that I could have a general manager. I didn't even have it in writing that I could pick the quarterbacks.
Really?
Yeah, Snyder picked the quarterbacks the second year. Yeah, so that's how much say-so I have.
But you probably don't think you need it in writing, right?
Right.
You're the coach.
Yeah, a good friend of mine said, you got to get all that in writing now. You can't trust some of these owner guys. I said,
Wow.
I've never had any trouble in my life believing in an athletic director or a president or anything like that. But, it was different. It was different.
I did want to talk to you, too, about, of course, the Florida softball team came out. They're not going to host for the first time under Tim Walton. They're going to Palo Alto, and that's good for them in terms that they can go to a really nice city. But, that's unusual. And then, of course, what's going on with baseball, where they've gotten hot and they're now in first place in the SEC East. And I know that means something, winning conference division championships means something, too.
Yeah, the division and then hopefully the regular season SEC.
Right.
Now, how do we do baseball?
Baseball is split for this year. I think next year it'll all go to one division.
Okay.
But this year it's still East-West, like the old setup. And so Florida's leading Vandy by a game in the East, and they're a game behind Arkansas in the West, but Arkansas plays Vandy, so it's going to be really interesting this weekend.
Okay. And then the tournament, what is next?
Tournament's next week, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So there's a lot going on, but it was nice to see Florida be able to sweep Vanderbilt in that series, and Kevin O'Sullivan's doing a heck of a job. He's got a special team. We'll see what they can do in the postseason. Postseasons are different than anything else.
Yep, that's. Try to win the regular division in SEC, and then go as far as you can in the postseason tournament. That's what they're all trying to do. Yeah.
So, what would you bet on the 5.5 being the over/under for Florida football?
Well, I think we can certainly win 6, 7, 8 in that neighborhood. But a lot of it is going to depend on what kind of leadership we have on the team.
Right.
And right now, hopefully, one of the quarterbacks, whoever he may be, can really step forward and go from there. But we just got to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand how important it's not just the coach's leadership. In fact, a lot of times the coach needs to let other people do it, or it's not going to get done. And you've talked about that before, how you can say something to a guy 100 times, but when the player says something to him, it means different. It comes from a different level.
No doubt about it. You look back at some of the great Florida teams, and you got Danny Werfel, Shane Matthews, and then you got Tim Tebow, and even Chris Leak played some really good games here too. That era, and then they had other players also that were good leaders. Percy Harvin and the defensive guys. I can't name them all now, but Lawrence
Spikes,
and, Batesy did a good job as a leader. So in our offensive line, Donnie Young, one guy wasn't playing very well. He said, "You better get your ass playing well."
He definitely would. Yeah.
So they get on each other a little bit, and that's part of. Come on, let's go, everybody.
All right, you got anything else for us, Coach?
Oh, I think that's
Did you
about it.
watch any golf this weekend? You see our man Jason Day, first time in 5 years won a tournament. That was great. Great to see.
He putted well, played well, and he could be back as one of those big time players. So Scotty Scheffler didn't quite pull it out, correct?
Yeah, he was tied, and then he just didn't play well down the stretch.
Yeah.
And they did. Mm-hmm. So that was fun to watch. And anyway, there was a lot of golf going on, and of course, a lot going on going forward. We'll talk about it a little bit, but in terms of Florida with softball and baseball, big series this weekend, and almost all the other stuff is over. I mean, lacrosse season ended. They're done.
Are we still in outdoor track?
Yes,
I think
but
that's still...
NCAA, outdoor track, and then trying to think what else. There's not much.
That was when our men and women won it last year.
Yeah.
Won both. First time, both won the same time.
Arkansas looks pretty good, though. They won both the SEC, so we'll see what happens there.
Okay.
All right, great to have Coach back. We appreciate him. As always, brought to you by Meldon Law. We'll be back with more on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Andreu To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Andreu To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast. Thanks to Coach Spurrier for being here. Of course, Monday is always a day for stars here on the show, brought to you by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios, which means we have Coach Spurrier, and then we have Robbie Andreu coming in on the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line. Robbie, did you get a sausage dog there on number one Saturday?
I did. I got the Italian, Pat. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I never found out what you guys shot. I was so freaked out at the end, but
I don't remember. But I'll tell you this, Pat. I saw one of the most amazing shots in my lifetime the other day, and one that I'll probably never see again. And it was in our group, Chris Harry. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Okay, we're 10th hole, right? Short par 3, maybe a 9-iron or 8-iron to the green. And set up back behind the tee box was a tent with people doing shots and music booming out, and a dog was back there with them all. There was a bunch of people there. Harry gets up there with, I guess it was a 9-iron. He skull hooked it. It squarely flush hit the women's tee marker and ricocheted back 100 miles an hour and almost hit the tent. It was an amazing shot. It was. Unfortunately, Bianchi wasn't watching. He never got to see it. But it was me and David Whitley were just like, did I just see that?
See, I was looking for something good for the Wood Memorial Award, and
that would have done it.
That would have been it. I think he might have left by then, though. I don't think he hung around. I think some people go home when they're done because they are done. They're ready to go home.
But Pat, he had another one on the previous tee also, number 9. I shouldn't be saying this, but I missed this one. I missed this one. I wasn't watching, but the Gator Touchdown Club, whatever, was watching. Here he hit, and I just heard like a swishing sound. I looked around, and Harry's ball was like 4 feet in front of him, just a little to the left. And Bianchi said he thinks that the air from his swing moved the ball, not the club. He hit the ball 4 feet somehow.
Well, that gets me to our Big Mills cheesesteak. Yes, no, where, maybe. Brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dine done the right way. Go in there and mention them and mention this podcast. You get free fries with your order. Well, number 1 was going to be, because I played one hole with you guys just for fun. And you guys crushed the ball, and I'm like, so number 1, you were surprised with your team and how good they were.
Yes, Pat, because for one thing, I didn't, Chris Harry doesn't play much, and Bianchi hardly ever plays. I didn't know much about Whitley's golf game, and I hadn't played in 2 years. So, I would say, yes, I'm surprised that we played as well as we did, because none of us really play a whole lot. So, but I think with the fact you're in a scramble, it kind of takes the pressure off and you relax. So maybe that helps.
Yeah, I mean, it should help. And again, par is your friend. You can't do worse than a par. So.
Yeah, and I thought we played pretty well for 4 old hacks,
What do you think you shot? Like 8, 9 under, maybe?
I would say 10 to 12, somewhere in that range.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody was under par. All right, number 2, I know that this story was a big story over the weekend. Number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. There will be an NFL game in the Swamp this year. Or I'm not this year, but in 2025 or 26.
I would say a strong maybe for it, Pat. I think if they're going to renovate the stadium over there in Jackson, Florida Field, the Swamp makes the most sense. And I know that Jim Henry from the Tallahassee paper said, why not do it in Doak Campbell? But to me, it's not the same. Gainesville is more centrally located and closer to Jacksonville. And I think it would be the perfect move. I mean, I just think it would be a great place. I would love to see a Jaguars game at Florida Field. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I think it definitely could happen.
Well, I've covered both bowl games that were played there. The Tangerine. What was the temperature that night?
It was like 23, wasn't it? Or something like that. It was something ridiculously low. It was freezing.
I don't know if I've ever been that cold in my life. And then, of course, the one with Peyton Manning and Tennessee playing Virginia Tech because the Gator Bowl was being renovated. So we'll see what happens there. And finally, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe. Florida baseball is now 1-up in the East, and it's going to get really interesting this weekend. They go to Kentucky. Meanwhile, Vanderbilt's playing Arkansas, who's leading the whole league. But the question is, Florida wins the East. Yes, nowhere, maybe.
I would like to say yes, Pat, but it's kind of a maybe because you're going on the road and Kentucky's pretty good. But I do think Arkansas will take care of Vanderbilt. But, Florida sweeping that series was big. I mean, it kind of turned things around here late in the year where they've really got a lot of momentum now. So if they can go up there and play well, they definitely have a chance. So I'm going to give them a maybe on that one.
Yeah, I mean, we went to the game yesterday. It was a lot of fun, and they just seem like they're playing with a high level of confidence. But they've become a really good home team. I mean, it's easy to say that. Everybody's better at home. Yeah, everybody's better, but some teams are really a lot better at home.
And that is this Florida team, Pat. I think that's why you don't know what's going to happen this weekend because they're not great on the road. But unless they're playing FSU.
Yeah, exactly. But you need to have that because you want to host regionals. You want to host super regionals. Right now, they play themselves back into that role of being a super regional host if they get that far. So
they're in a position to do it, Pat. So hopefully they'll do it.
All right. Have you decompressed from Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, but Pat, I wish you'd seen that Chris Harry shot on number 10. It was an amazing thing.
I do too. We may give it to them next year. For how bad that shot was.
The guys in the tent looked for the ball and couldn't find it. Went into the weeds by the tent.
Oh my God! This is par 3 we're talking about, by the way, for those of you who don't know. It's hard to hit one that you lose in the left behind you weeds.
Yeah, but to hit it flush against the women's tee marker was just amazing. The ball went it ricocheted like 100 miles an hour toward the tent. It was like a missile.
Oh my God! That would have been a perfect Wood Memorial. Perfect.
Oh yeah, no question.
I know my dad would have loved it. All right, Robbie, thanks for coming out.
Okay, Pat. I'll see you Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, we'll be doing Radio Wednesday on the tailgate because Jeff is, of course, going with the team to Kentucky, and they have a Thursday game. So we'll tell you about that in just a minute. Thanks, Rob. All right, let us get to we got a lot of things still to get to. The Hesser and Kipke 3 Things is up next. And, of course, it was so much fun to see Ken and Jennifer out there, and they seem to have a blast. Then I ran into them again at the baseball game. So we talked a little bit. They are great sponsors of this, great sponsors of everything they do, that we do, and we appreciate them so much. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the areas of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? Well, check out their more than 55 5-star Google reviews, or better yet, give them a call, 352-339-9920, Hesser and Kipke, and these are the Hesser and Kipke 3 Things. First of all was Florida's women's tennis team losing number 1, I should say, to North Carolina. North Carolina is number 1 in the country. A lot of things happened over the weekend that I wasn't aware of, and I was like, oh, this happened. I had to go back and so this may be old news to you. It was a super regional though. They had a good year. They fought hard. North Carolina is really good, number 1, obviously seed, but Florida finally is eliminated. Number 2. And I know Ken's not going to like this, but I got to talk about what happened yesterday. I settled down, had some food, a little pizza, ready to watch Game 7, enjoy it. And I enjoyed it for a while, and then 33-10 in the third quarter. And I'm rooting for Al Horford. That's all I care about, okay? I don't care about either team that much. But the bottom line is Jason Tatum's 51 was unbelievable to watch. And I like watching things like that happen. And I don't care, even if it's the other, like the one where James Harden in the first game of that series when Embiid wasn't playing, went off for a ridiculous number. I enjoyed it. I don't care about James Harden or Philadelphia, but I still enjoyed seeing expertise being on display. And of course, Harden disappeared in this game because it was a big game. Big games doesn't show up. But that was interesting to watch, and we'll get to the playoff schedule in just a bit. Number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 Things. I'm getting a little nervous about the Braves, but they keep doing this. They win a bunch and they lose a bunch. Lose 4 in a row, and now the Mets are within 5, and the Mets aren't going to be bad forever. But you start looking at the standings, and I do this about once a week because I don't really pay that much attention this time of year, and I was wondering who had the worst record. And then I saw, I heard a lot about the A's. A's have got 9 wins. 9 wins. That's not even a good football season. They've got 9 wins right now, and that's not good, and they're trying to move to Vegas. It ain't because of the crowd. It's not because of the fans that you're not winning. You just haven't done a good job. You haven't done a good job. You as manager, general manager, everybody in your organization, you stink. And you stink because of you, not because of the fans. That's all I have to say. All right, that is Hesser and Kipke 3 Things. Let's get to the Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the weekend. I had a lot to choose from, and I could have gone with a lot of baseball guys, but I just chose to go with Robert Gregory, who won the Commissioner's Trophy at the men's SEC track meet. He had the most points, 17 points, won the 200 meter, competed in a couple other races. But they didn't do great. They were 6th, but they were like 5 points away from 3rd. Arkansas is too good this year, it looks like, and that's not going to be good. But anyway, Robert Gregory, who's a TCU transfer, did a great job, and he is. By the way, the women did finish 2nd in the SEC track meet. But he's our Adam's Ribco to go Gator of the weekend. I got to say something about Adam. Adam being out there delivering food, it was unbelievable, as always. He is such a friend to this tournament. He's such a friend to this podcast, and such a friend to me. And he and Michelle, I mean, there's a lot of people out there, Joe, certainly Kyle, all the people. I mean, I don't want to get into all of them, but they make me want to cry. They're just such loving, caring people for this community. They believe in this community more than anything. And I agree with that. Let's get to Kyle and Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. I will make a pull on Friday. I'm in a giving mood, man. I feel like giving stuff away. I'm going to give you a copy of my book and Leonardo's $25 gift certificate. And who knows? I may throw something else in there. So I'm going to make a pull on Friday for the show. And your game, the last chance to qualify, is Wednesday, Miami at Boston. I didn't even know Miami was in the finals of the Eastern Conference. I knew they were close to being there, but that's how Dooley-centric I've been lately. But that is your Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Wednesday, Miami at Boston. That game, pick it, get it in. Last chance to qualify. We got a lot of qualifiers. A lot of you picked Florida to win. Let's get to our Ben Eige Odell Realty. Games of the week. We got a lot of them. Baseball, for example, plays Kentucky Thursday. So you get a Thursday game, 6:30, only on the Plus. Arkansas, but this is a game you want to pay attention to. If you got it set up right, you can do it with 2 TVs. Arkansas and Vanderbilt, that game is on the SEC network at 7. So you really kind of want to watch them both. If you're into Gator baseball, these are huge games as this season goes on. But those are both Thursday night games. Golf, you have to find that. But Florida starts, they already started in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Tomorrow will be the second round, then Wednesday the third round. It's up in Bath, Michigan. It may be hard to find, but you may be able to find it on one of the pluses somewhere. But the NBA, obviously, going hard this weekend with the the finals in each conference. So this is basically the semifinals. Tuesday, Denver and the LA Lakers in Denver, 8:30 on ESPN. Wednesday, Miami at Boston, 8:30 on TNT. Thursday, LA at Denver, 8:30 on ESPN. Everything we're seeing. And I tell you what snuck up on me was a PGA Championship. I had no idea it was this weekend. I'm like freaking out. My wife even said something. She goes, "Isn't the PGA usually later?" I go, "Yeah, but they moved it up." Why are you even asking me this question? I walked away from her. I was just so stressed out all weekend. Anyway, so if you want to watch that Thursday, 1 to 7 o'clock on ESPN. It's at Oak Hill too, which is my dad's favorite course. He played there a lot. Well, Augusta was, but he loved that one. All right, let us finally finish with Pat Dooley's Storytime, brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics and Mike Jordan. I know they seem to have a great time out there. Again, another big major sponsor of both things. A lot of people sponsoring a lot of things. You know, pretty much everybody on the list. And I appreciate them. And I wanted to tell you, because we're in the middle of playoff basketball in the NBA. So I thought about this, and I don't think I've told this story here, but I've told it elsewhere. And that was how I wooed my wife. And I'm telling this because it was Mother's Day yesterday, and I did a lot of things for her. Hope she enjoyed it. My daughter was sick, unfortunately, so I had to kind of be the guy. You know, usually you kind of go, "Hey, here's the flowers." No, I had to be the guy. I did a good job, I think. But how I wooed her, the first date, and I've told this story, was Steve Spurrier's 50th birthday party. You take her to that touchdown terrace. That's pretty good. Second date, though, I took her to Game 7, Orlando, Indianapolis, Indiana, they were called. Game 7, winner goes to play in the finals. And I got tickets from David Steele, the great David Steele, who used to be the announcer here. And I called him. I've never called him and asked him for anything, but I asked him for these. I said, wherever you get them, they were lower bowl. She had a blast. They won. They were going to the final. And I think she was just impressed more than anything that I could get tickets like that. Then the next one was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Then was I took her to Denver for a week. And now I've got nothing left. I mean, that's it. Now, if you like me and you want to date me, you're just going to see the real me, which has got no money. She hung in there with it. And I appreciate her and her for putting up with me during the last 4 months during this event planning, which is all I do. Maybe I take it too seriously. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see if there's another one. There's no commitment. Not yet, but there may be soon. All right. That is our show. Thanks to HBC for coming in. Thanks to Robbie for being on as always. We'll have a great guest Friday. I just can't tell you who it is yet because I don't know. But we'll be back on Friday. Until then, thanks to Zach for doing the production today. Thanks to Jared for being his able assistant. He did a great job. And thanks for coming out as well to the tournament. Till next time, I am Pat Dooley saying, I am deep, I'm way back. Oh, I forgot to say, thanks to Tammy for coming out. Tammy was out there for most of the day. She helped with the volunteering and everything. We loved seeing her out there. Anyway, I am Pat Dooley. I'm deep, way back, and I'm out of here.